Hello, my name is George, and today I'm going to be walking through my new application, Voxor. Voxor can be found at voxor.xyz, and it is a language learning application, the goal of which is to use AI to create a personalized and adaptive learning experience. So how this website works is that a user will enter this website and add a language. They'll start adding flashcards to that language and build up a vocabulary. Then, using those flashcards and those decks that they create, they can generate exercises. So here, sentences, short stories, and dialogues currently. And these exercises will be tailored to the words that they are trying to learn and also their difficulty level. So they can change the difficulty based on where they are in their language learning experience. For me, this solved a lot of problems and pain points when trying to learn a language on my own. When I started learning a language on my own, I started with a textbook, and I studied in a textbook for a couple months, and then I moved to Duolingo or Babbel and online applications. And when I did this transformation from learning a textbook and learning on Duolingo, I kind of lost all of my progress that I had made on my own through this textbook. And additionally, on Duolingo and these other apps, I was restricted to only learning certain words at certain times. I had to kind of follow their course, so to say. And using this application, I can learn the words, any words I want, when I want to learn them, and I can choose my difficulty of the exercises. So I'm not losing my level of expertise switching from one language to the next. Additionally, if I was just on the other side, if I was just going to do flashcards, Quizlet, I can learn the words whenever I want to learn them, and I can choose which words I want to learn, but I don't have any in-depth exercises. I can't apply those words anywhere else besides rote memorization. So the objective of this application is to solve both of those pain points on both ends of the language learning spectrum, either just flashcards or these pre-built courses that exist. Now you can do both through here. So I'm going to go ahead and register. Everything is done through Google, so there's no saving of passwords, saving of emails, no user information is being saved, and it's all secure through Google, so there's no security issues in terms of losing the account, or losing, those types of things. So I'll go ahead and get in. Here I'll go ahead and put in my username, so I'll put my name as George, and I can enter my date of birth. This is optional, but you can enter it here and click Save. Then here I'm going to go over to the languages section and add a language. So I've been learning Russian, so I'm going to go ahead and add this deck, or add this as a language. Next, I will add a language deck. So you can kind of see I'll have my stats, my progress, and my levels here. Go ahead and add a deck. Here I'm going to name this deck Food, Russian, add a deck. Can't spell. Russian vocabulary, food, and then term language. This will be in Russian. So this is the term language that goes down here in the description language. Description language will be English, and my deck language will be Russian, because that is the one language that I've had added so far. So all of this deck will roll up into my Russian languages. Now I have three options to import. I can import via image, text, or CSV. So the first one I'm going to do is image. So for Russian, for example, and other languages as well, it's very hard to learn how to type them. So here, if I bring over this image, this is what I'm going to use to import. It would take me a very long time to create flashcards using this image. I can't type these letters. It's very difficult. I don't have the translations here in this image, and it would take a lot of time, and it was a big pain point for me. So using this image import, I will upload this image. I don't need to type in all the Russian Cyrillic letters, and this will translate them as well for me. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. Downloads. Let me grab the screenshot. Turn translation on. I'm going to translate mine into English, but you can translate into any language that you want it to be translated to, your native language. And I'll go ahead and press import. And I'll allow for the application to read this image, pull in all of the words on the image, and then translate them. So now that has been complete, I can see them down here. For this one, because these are not on the food one, I'm going to, actually we'll keep these ones for now. So now I've done that, I can also import them through text. So if you do have words on Quizlet, you can export those words, dropping the drop down, and here I'm pasting over from Quizlet, and I have my words here, and I'll choose my delimiter. So this is the same view as what you'll kind of see on Quizlet, and the semicolon is in between the words, generate preview, and now I can see my words. So here I'm going to cancel because I don't want to add them to it, but I'll go ahead and press import, and they'll come into it. As well as a CSV import. So for me, I was tracking all of my vocabulary in a CSV file before, and this just, if this is something similar or someone else has done this and tracks their own vocabulary, because it's hard to track on Quizlet or hard to track on any other application what words you've learned, you can now import all of your words into this application using CSV files, using a column A and column B. And then once they're loaded in, you can switch them back and forth and manipulate them as you want. So now that I have my vocabulary, one additional thing that is here is part of speech. So something new that you can't do on Quizlet, because Quizlet is just for any flashcards, is identify an additional metadata for your flashcards as part of speech. So here I can add part of speech, and let's say if I only want to study verbs or only want to study nouns or adjectives, I'm able to do that, and I'm able to know what the word is, or that can be something that's helpful in learning them. So here I'm going to go ahead and click generate part of speech, and this is going to go through and look at each one of the words and generate the part of speech and populate that. So now my part of speech has been populated. So I'm going to change this now to be housing, and we'll do Russian vocabulary housing since I'm not doing food. And I'll go ahead and create the deck. Now I can see my deck here. I can go ahead and modify it. This is the deck overview page. I can study it, and I can also copy it if I want to copy this deck. If this is someone else's deck and I want to copy it and recreate it for myself, that's what this copy button will do. So go ahead and press study for now. Here I can see the study preview. In the drop down I only have one deck, but if you want to study multiple decks, this also allows for that. If I had multiple decks on this on my flashcards page, I could select multiple decks here and click study decks. So I'll go back to this page here. Now here I can edit flashcards if I want to edit them before studying, and I can also like flashcards. So these liked flashcards, like if I only want to study these 5 for now, I can star those, and now they're liked, and I can filter on them in my exercises. So now I am on the exercise page, so I see my flashcards. I can flip them, look at them, answer them incorrectly or correctly. I can also here change the front of the card, whether I want it to be description or the term. So I can go ahead and save this. Now it's on that side. So put it back. I can also filter by part of speech. So I can filter for the certain parts of speech that I want to learn. I can also turn on study liked only. So now I only have those 4 that I liked, and I can go ahead and turn this off. And I can also shuffle the words. So this will shuffle them and unshuffle them. Then I'll go through the deck and answer them as such, and then you'll go to a deck overview page similar to any other flashcard application. So you can see this is how the animation goes. And you can go through your cards this way. Now the fun part, exercises. So on the exercises page, I will select my language if I have multiple. I'll select the type of exercises that I'm looking to see. So here I'm going to do all 3 of them that are available now. I'll go ahead and select my housing deck that we just created, and I can select my difficulty. So this is what I was talking about earlier, where if this was a strict language learning path, I would have to, this would not be available to me. I wouldn't be able to choose which vocab words I want to learn. I would be forced down a certain language learning path in order to get exercises, and I would also start at beginner as the applications work. So here I can select where I want to start, my level of learning, the level of difficulty, and then I can select my question order. So here I'll put my questions in Russian, and then you can change the answers to be any different answers that you want it to be, but at least one of them needs to be in Russian or the language that's been chosen. So now I'll generate my exercises. So now it's going through and generating the sentences, short stories, and dialogues based on my vocabulary and based on my difficulty level. And once this generates, I will be able to switch the question and answer. So here I can switch if I want to switch, and I can also export these as a document file. So now these are in Russian, as you can see. I can go through these exercises and unclick the answers as I answer them. A lot of times language translations are very subjective and there's not always a singular right answer. So this allows for the user to see how it can be answered, but not always the correct answer. Like if there's a letter wrong in a person's response, it would mark it as incorrect. But here you can kind of go through and do it yourself. So the goal is for self-learning. This is for people who want to learn a language, not necessarily focused on seeing a score at the end of the day of right or wrong. This you'll just go through here and you can select and see in the answers and learn from whether you got them right or wrong from there. So here I can add these ones, and we had housing vocabulary, which I'm not sure which words I had in there when I put them in, but neighbors was a vocabulary word that we had in here. So it will build other words around that vocabulary and difficulty. Goroda, I think this was for city, so it's in here as well. I think complex was also a vocabulary word, but all of these will be put in here. Pripochetal was a vocabulary word. And so now all of these have been generated, and now after I've memorized my words, or even before I've memorized my words, I can now generate exercises to help me strengthen my vocabulary and also see how they come up and use the correct grammar in certain sentences. And then also the home page is here where there's media, so you can see any sort of post that I will be making in the future, and this video as well. And then you can also see your language statistics. So here I have now added 28 words as my level at A1, but as you've seen in the exercises and things like that, you can change your level to, you can change the difficulty. So this is just for your reference here and kind of showing it go from one level to the next. Here, all features are currently free. There's nothing premium, even though there's, as you can probably see as I walk through it, there's a lot of AI instances for image reading, for generating parts of speech, for generating exercises, and there's a bunch of other study tools that I would like to add in the future. So now all the structure is here. I have all the information for a user that is needed to generate an abundance of exercises or abundance of different sort of tools using a user's difficulty level and their vocabulary, their custom vocabulary. For now, there's just these exercises, which I think are super, super helpful for me and when I've been learning, but the possibilities are endless in creating these types of exercises because you have your user's words and you know what they're learning, and you can do anything with those words now to create any sort of exercise for them. So please feel free to come over to the site, create an account, start learning, testing out, and I'd love to hear any feedback that you have. So thank you very much. Have a good one.